Hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back to Skull Squadron Sims. I'm just going to do kind of a quick update of some of the things I have added since the last video I did. Um, Really quick, most of them, well, a few things. We've added some new variants. So if you do purchase the livery, the Animation Plus livery pack, you're going to get several variants, almost up to 9 different variants of, and they all have small changes and some bigger than others. But for example, the VF1J Max Blue Edition, there's a couple different things. The liveries with the blue and the reds, they're very small changes. Mostly the color of the head is silver instead of blue. So that kind of matches the chest area and the silver parts of the Veritech. But also there's a couple little blue accents on the jet nose light surround unit. You'll see those, and just going to the red, you kind of get the same idea. Silver head, a couple of red accents around the light surrounding parts on the jet nose. The big difference, there's a difference between Miriya and Miriya Pilot. I did do a female pilot because in the cartoon series, Miriya is a female pilot. So in Miriya, it's still a male pilot with a male voice on the transformation to guardian mode. On Miriya Pilot, we're going to have a female pilot. I've remodeled her face, new textures on the face. I adjusted her body to be a little more feminine. But she has the exact same sort of silver head, red body as the variant. It's the same as the male version. Now on Rick, we got a couple of liveries. I made a stealth version of Rick's livery, and so that's something that you can kind of see, and I think it came out really nice. But also, we have Skull Squadron Sims, Roy, and on his livery, what we've done is I have the UNSPACY. It's basically, I normally have Skull Squadron Sims decals on the side of the legs, and on here I just have the UNSPACY, which is one of the first ones I did. So you have that livery as well. So every variant has a couple of liveries built into it. So going to, let's see, the actual sim. Oh, by the way, also, if we go to the hangar, you'll see here that there was a time where in the hangar of poses, I had to, the landing gear was down in these poses, but that actually has been updated and will update when you select, oops, let's see, if I change the aircraft, for example, go to Roy and then kind of click back on UNSPACY, it should update. Why aren't you updating? Okay, now it's closed. There's just something strange with sort of the memory or whatever. If the landing gear should be closed for these poses. And so now all the landing gear is hidden away, and that's the way it should look. So it's nice and clean. And that kind of does it for all of them. If you click on it and it's showing the landing gear open, sort of click on another airplane, come back, and it should be updated. I'm not sure why it does that, but they should be closed. And I have a new command in the instruction manual that will show you how to go into the hangar FLT file and update those. Let's go ahead and we'll go to Vancouver and actually let me pick. Let me pick this stealth livery for Rick. Let's go there. While that's loading up, I wanted to also talk real quick about I did include some texture maps where if you can switch out the names of the pilots if you like. I included different versions for Rick, Miriya, and Max, and Roy. But if you want to make a custom one, if you have Photoshop or GIMP, then you have the DDS plugin. The DDS is the file extension plugin. Then you can go into the texture base. Oops, hold on one second here. If you'd have the DDS plugin, then you can load in that DDS file. It's the projection 94 texture file, and you'll see there's a long name to it. But you can use that as a template, and you could create your own livery, your own name, call sign, and as long as what I would recommend is make a separate layer, make a text-based, type out the name that you want, and then rotate it, resize it, and place it exactly over the pre-existing name. Just make sure, as long as it's the same size and it fits over the name, it should work perfect. Then what you want to do is just make another layer and go back and erase, or you can kind of take some other sections of that map and cover up the old name, and then so that only your name is showing, and then save that out as a DDS file over the exact same name, and place that into the texture file, texture.base folder, and the next time you load up, you should have your own call sign now. Getting back to the game real quick. Some things that I've updated. We talked about those gear doors. And just real quick. So because the landing gear is down, in earlier versions, I had to keep the landing gear open in order for everything to still function properly. But I did update that with a button. So I assigned it to control page up, and now we can tuck that landing gear away. Now this is only visual, kind of a counter animating the gearing. The gear is still technically down. So before you bring the actual gear back up, you just have to make sure that you undo that. Otherwise you're going to see that the gear is going to come into the cockpit. So again, you just want to make sure you undo that when you take off to fly. But I made this for, if you want to tuck that away when you come in for a landing. The gear is technically still down, but it looks much nicer now by having that all tucked away. And so, everything looks nice and clean now. So going back to the jet here, I'll show you what I mean real quick. You'll see as we go into jet mode that the gearing is still tucked away, although technically it should be on the ground, right? So just make sure that before you tuck it away or put the landing gear officially up, that you undo that so that the gearing comes out. Yeah. Alright, another feature that I added, so that's gear doors. Another feature I added was the ability to swap out the heads for different variants. So let's see, let's go back to so here we have the VF1J head. So that is now an option. So we can switch between VF1J. Let's go into the cockpit. The only downside is I don't have a hotkey for it, so you do have to use the button. But click the head, and now we're back to the VF1S head. So now you have two options there to choose from. So let's see, VF1J, and VF1S. Okay, so now going back. Another feature that is on here is reverse thrusters now. So now we have the ability, especially for short landings. This was kind of an issue that I felt I was struggling with. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Because I had to do things with the gears, I had to reassign the pilot hide button. A quick little sort of function is that the hide pilot button still works, and I do have a hotkey for it. It's the same hotkey I had before, but for whatever reason, the first time you have to kind of activate it first, and then the hotkey will function. Otherwise, the hotkey may not work when you first jump into the game, so just pushing the pilot button once will act kind of, I don't know, kind of jars it, puts it into memory, I don't know, but then the hotkey button works as you would imagine it would. Okay, so also now I have reverse thrusters. You can access that through actually pulling back on the throttle. Or what we would do is, I want to show you here real quick. Whoops. Let's kill those. Okay. So usually when you're coming in from a landing, I'm going to turn off parking brake. So let's say I've got some forward thrust. I'm coming in for landing. You touch down. This only works when the wheels are touching down. And now you are on a short runway, so now you want to quickly stop. So decrease throttle to 0. Let go of the button of decrease throttle, then hit it quickly again. And now you'll go into reverse thrust mode, which will stop you. And it'll put you in reverse, so make sure you go back to 0 or set your parking brake. But this works really great. So you're coming in for a landing, get your throttle to 0, then when you're at 0, let go and press down again on the decreased throttle, and now you'll get your reverse braking working. So just to show you how quickly you can go backwards if you're not careful. So what I tend to do on landings is I tend to like to have my parking brake already activated before I touch down. I also like to activate my air brake. So we got our air brake so that when we do touch down, we already have air brake active, we have parking brake active, and then I can quickly go to 0, let go, press again, and it goes into reverse thrust. And now that will help out our braking much, much better. And then go back to 0. Alright, so I think that's most of the updates. We have new liveries, we've got different head variants you can choose from. We have reverse thrust. We have the gear doors able to close and hide away everything. So I think that pretty much does it. So I hope you guys are still enjoying like the jet and the project, and thanks for checking in. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.